stories we went through, me and Pat, when, doing the research for this album, nothing really fit that song. That song was kind of like an orphan, but we didn't have any stories. So that's actually a real case of last minute guerrilla research, fast as, sorry for the language, F word. And then, Google, Wikipedia, podcasts, just getting everything in there. I found an ebook as well about it, but there wasn't that much material of him. I think I came across it in some text somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. And I started Googling his name, and it turns out that the YouTube channel Great War had made a short, 5 or 8 minute episode about him. And then through them specifying a few sources into Wikipedia, I found a documentary, I think sponsored by his grandson, talking about his exploits during World War I. He was there for most of the war, actually. I thought it was such a fascinating story. And it's one of those, I haven't heard about this. And when you discover a story for the first time, and especially a story like that, you're really passionate about it. So, yeah, I just felt, okay, this is it. Let's go.
Yeah, he killed something like 400 Germans and captured 300 more. He has some similarities with Alvin York, the U.S. Army soldier who took out an entire German machine gun nest. He won the Medal of Honor, killed at least 25 enemy soldiers. Do you see a common thread with these different people that you focus on? You also focus on the Red Baron as well.
Well, yeah. I mean, we did an album back in 2014 called Heroes as well, where we feature guys also a lot of people from all around the world, actually. But the one most familiar to you would be Audie Murphy, I guess.
Yeah.
And it seems like some people just being able to rise to what seems to be an impossible challenge. I mean, it's incredible if you look at what, Francis, Audie, Alvin, and these guys did during the war. Most people would be hiding in a trench with all of that shit going on around them, duck for cover. But it seems like, I don't know, but I mean, it's not only from American continents. It seems like every nation has these kind of stories, and they're super fascinating, of these unlikely heroes that, if you hear about it, it's crazier than a Hollywood script. Look at Polish resistance fighter Witold Pilecki. Well, obviously Germany's rolling in, and he hears about what's going on in Auschwitz. So he infiltrates Auschwitz. Well, as you do, crazy enough. He gets fake papers, so it looks like he's got Jewish blood or something. He goes into Auschwitz, spends a couple of months or a year, I can't remember exactly, in that death camp or hellhole, and then he escapes to the Polish government in exile in the UK, and they don't believe him. So he says, screw you guys, and he goes back and fights in the Warsaw Uprising. And then, as the Germans are leaving and the Soviet Union are rolling in, well, obviously, they don't want any strong resistance leaders. So the highest irony of them all, and that he's captured by the Russians and executed for being a traitor. I would recommend anyone to Google Witold Pilecki. I mean, it's more fantastic than most Hollywood scripts.
Can you, since you're from Sweden, were there any national heroes you could think of that you thought about focusing on in this album but didn't make it to the final cut?
No, we weren't involved in World War I, so for us it was an easy choice.
Just nix it off.
We have a habit of sitting these conflicts out,
That's kind of what I thought, but there are always these people who slip through the cracks. Maybe there's somebody who volunteered for the French Foreign Legion.
I know there was something with a Russian ship that Sweden almost got drawn in World War I around the island of Gotland. I can't remember the details of it, but Russia thought that we would ally with, I guess, Germany, I think it was, so they were ready to attack us, and this happened behind the scenes, but nothing came of it, so we were out of it. But certainly during World War II, a lot of Swedish people, there was actually a little bit of a secret mutiny going on up in the north, where Swedish soldiers and their commanders would tell Stockholm and the government and everyone and high command that, yeah, sure, everybody's accounted for, in the regiments, but the regiments were empty. They were all walked over to Finland and helped the Finnish fight. So a lot of Swedish were actually fighting and helping the Finnish in World War II. The high command would call up to Boden, the regiment, say, okay, everybody accounted for, everything calm up your end? Yeah, sure, no problem at all. While, 80% or 90% of the regiment was over in Finland helping the Finns.
All right, so you have plenty of material for future projects.
Oh, yeah, we have quite a few of those sneaky stuff, especially on helping you guys with signals and stuff, which we have a long tradition of in Sweden. I guess signal, what's it called? Well, my vocabulary, I swear to God, it's getting worse by every day.
I have the same problem, yeah.
Well, we interrupted Russian comms, basically, and German comms during World War I, and passed that on to what would be OSS, right? The predecessor to CIA.
Right, the sabotage of communication systems, like that.
Yeah, interception of transmissions, yes, and pass along whatever we could hear and decrypt.
Well, on the album, I have a favorite song. Would you like to guess what it is?
Oh, you said you like the Ottoman Theater, and we already touched on it. I'm guessing 7 Pillars of Wisdom.
Close. Well, I liked the penultimate, the end of the war to end all wars. Because tonally, when I was taking notes listening to it for the preparation from this episode, I wrote down, it sounds like the Valkyrie flying over the fields of the dead to carry soldiers to the halls of Valhalla. Are you focusing on a specific scene in this song, or is it more of the sense of the thousands, the millions who've been killed in the war?
Actually, yeah, good question. I actually went a bit off script on that one. I mean, every song has a certain place in time and history. That one, however, is a bit of, an imaginary person standing there on the 11th of November, hearing the last shots of World War I being fired, and then reflecting on the past 4 years. I knew that when I was writing the music. I didn't have the lyrics yet, but that was what I wanted to say musically. And it took me on a bit of a different journey. It's not a regular 1-2, verse, chorus, solo rock song. But it's a fictional person, I guess, but all the facts that are in there are, real.
So in sum, what do you hope people get out of the album when they listen to it?
Ooh, well, I don't know. Actually, that's up to the listener. Everybody has, with music and movies and everything, everybody has its own personal connection to an album. Some people hate what's considered to be one artist's, most defining album, and other people love it, and some people really love the forgotten albums. So it's highly personal, and I think it would be actually wrong of us to tell people what they should feel or think while listening to it. But it is a collection of, 11 tracks, 10 stories from World War I. And it's a bit darker and more atmospheric than our previous albums. And because the topic needed it, I guess.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense with the topic. Well, Joakim Brodén is the lead singer of Sabaton. The new album is The Great War. Joakim, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.